Everyone. Thanks for staying tuned and welcome back to the part two of this AWS Foundational Cloud Practitioner series. In this part, we're going to discuss about the AWS IAM and EC2 fundamentals. So what is IAM? AWS Identity and Access Management is a fundamental global service that allows you to manage access AWS services and resources securely. It is centered on the principle of least privilege, creating individual IAM users for each person, which is crucial for accountability. Actions taken in the account can be tracked back to a specific user, and the root account is the email and the password used to create the AWS account. It has unrestricted access and should be protected with multi-factor authentication, and which also helps in creating groups and root accounts. We'll discuss on how to create these users and root groups. I'll show you that in the demonstration in the next part, which is a part 3. For now, let's move on to the next slide. So IAM permissions and policies. Permissions and policies are granted by attaching policies, which is JSON documents that define the actions are allowed or denied on the AWS resources. For example, a policy can be granted to a user permission to read objects in a specific Amazon S3 bucket, but deny them from deleting anything. The principle of least privilege is a security best practice of granting only the permissions necessary to perform a specific task and nothing more. IAM security discusses about strong password policies, enforcing requirements like minimum length, need for numbers, symbols, and uppercase, lowercase letters, and mandatory password rotation. MFA, which can be said as multi-factor authentication, adds critical second layer of security. Even if the password is compromised, an attacker would need a physical access to a device on which the user's MFA, such as a smartphone, or which has apps like Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, or hardware key fob to gain access. Moving on, we shall now discuss about the IAM best practices. IAM practices is a credential report in which the report allows users to account the status for various credentials and use groups to assign permissions to set of users, example, developers group. Use IAM rules to grant permissions of AWS services, example, allowing on EC2 instances and access to S3 bucket of granting cross-account access. Never share or embed access keys used for API calls in code for anyone except the roles that are secured to alternative. Let's discuss about EC2 overview. Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, which is called EC2, is a core AWS service that provides resizable virtual servers known as instances in the cloud. It gives you complete control over your computing resources. You can launch instances with a variety of operating systems like Amazon Machine Images AMIs, configure security and networking, and manage storage. It is the foundational building block for many scalable applications. Let's talk about EC2 instant types. Launching an instant involves several key choices such as OS software, such as OS Linux or Windows or Mac OS. And instant types defines the hardware, CPU, memory, and storage, which also dictates the storage capacity and security groups and user data accesses. So the types of EC2 instances are basically general purpose EC2, which is provides a balanced compute, memory, and networking, ideal for compute intensive, like general purpose intensive tasks. Whereas the compute optimized instance is ideal for compute intensive tasks like batch processing or gaming service. Whereas the memory optimized service is used for large data processing designed for high workloads in performing the databases. And the storage optimized, as the name says, it is intensive in read and write and built for workloads that require high sequential read-write access for large data sets on local storage. So let's now talk about the security groups in EC2 and IAM. Security groups are virtual firewall for EC2 instances, which controls inbound and outbound traffic. Uh, it means if you allow inbound traffic on port, example, let's say port 80 for HTTP, the outbound response traffic is automatically allowed regardless of outbound rules. They act as a first line of defense, controlling traffic at instance level. You can specify and allow rules based on the protocol, port, and source IP range. Linux, Mac OS are accessed via the SSH protocol using a terminal and the private key file .pem that was specified when the instance was launched, whereas the Windows accessed via RDP protocol using the remote desktop connection client password obtained using a private key. And AWS System Manager Session Manager is a modern and more secure method that provides browser-based shell access without needing to open inbound ports SSH and RTP or manage SSH keys. Moving on to the next slide. Now we will discuss about the EC2 pricing models. Uh, the first one is on demand model, which is a flexible short-term but highest cost and no commitment for unpredictable workloads. On the savings or the reserved plan, we have a significant discount up to 72% in exchange for a 1 to 3 year commitment, ideal for steady state predictable usage like production database server. We have spot instances which are lower cost, leverage unused EC2 capacity up to 90% discount. The trade-off is that the AWS can reclaim the instances within a 2-minute warning when they need the capacity back. We also have dedicated hosts, which are physical services dedicated for your use, which can help address specific regulatory compliance needs and can use your existing server bound software licenses. So, for a wrap up, so we have discussed about the IAM and EC2 are the two most critical services for building a secure and scalable foundation in AWS. IAM provides a granular control over who can do what, ensuring security and compliance, whereas EC2 provides the raw compute power to run your applications, offering flexibility, scalability, and a variety of cost optimization models. Mastering these two services is essential for any AWS user or cloud practitioner for this instance. That's all from me for now. Thank you very much for watching and staying tuned on this part 2 of the series. I shall see you in the next one, in which I'll demonstrate the AWS user account and root accounts and how you can do all these IAM policies and EC2 instances on a live demonstration. Stay tuned and wait for the part 3.